Well, guys, I think we're live. So, those of you, I'll wait a couple of minutes. We just ended the Thursday night show for the Intrepid radio program. And I told everyone to go on out and watch for a live stream on my channel. And come on in, and we'll do a little extended show tonight. And a little extended live. Susie Q, boom, there you are. Good to see you. Hey, Siani, good to see you as well. Master Finn, great to have you. And so let's do this. Let's have a little open talk for a little bit. Let me see, make sure everything's okay. There we go. Yeah, we're all set up. Yeah, I think my lights might even be too bright up there. Maybe I'll turn that one off. Hold on. Boom. And it's still bright on my face. I'm washing out on my camera. So there we go. So glad to have you here. Hey, Roger. How you doing, Roger Rabbit? I didn't see you. Good to see you. Oh, you weren't in the actual radio show. So that's okay. That's cool. Good to have you here. You might hear this on the mic. Can you all hear me tap on the mic? I want to make sure it's picking up the right mic. Can you hear that? All right. Fantastic. Thanks, Michelle. Good. Because we did this on Sunday, and there's a little thing when you go live on YouTube that it makes you select the mic you want. And if you don't, it defaults to your internal. And I noticed when I was going live Sunday morning, I think it was Sunday morning or one of the evenings this week, we went live. And as I was clicking go live, I saw shutting down the button that said, oh, you can choose your mic. And I thought, oh, that's great. But I had chosen it earlier, but it didn't stay. It didn't stay defaulted to that. But now that we're going, I think it will. So good to have you all here. Good to have you all come in and stay for a little extended talk. I had a friend of mine. Now, he might be out there. I don't know. Mark Morrison over on my Facebook channel. And he said, you guys going to talk about on this show tonight? And he was being a little tongue-in-cheek, I think, but he was saying you're going to talk about how God supports one of the candidates or not. And Mark is a pretty good guy. He comes in, and I know Mark from mostly from our reenacting days, back when we would do the 42nd Royal Highland Regiment, the 1750s British Scots in the British Army, and French and Indian War stuff. And we would do it at a historical event that Mark would set up with the Bloomington Park Board, Bloomington being one of the western suburbs of Minneapolis, southwestern. And so I don't know if he has the same job. I believe he does, but he would be there. And Mark, if you're here, you can say hi in the chat room if you sign in. But so that's how I got to know him. He was the leader of that event. Leader is probably, I don't know if that's the right word, the organizer of that park board event. And so Mark comes into a lot of my political posts, and you would think him a little snarky sometimes if you didn't know he was my friend. And he doesn't mean anything personal by it. But he was definitely on the different end of the political spectrum with me this time around. And so we had a few conversations online. And so he asked, I think it was a little tongue-in-cheek, he said, so I see you're talking about the sleeping God. He says, does that mean you're going to be talking about God being on the side of Biden or something like that? And I said, oh, no, au contraire. And so I thought that we would go live tonight I told him, yeah, maybe we'll do that. We'll do an extended live after the show tonight and maybe talk about that a little bit. Hey, Steve Clark, how you doing, brother? And let's see who all we got. We got most of the people who were here for the show. Master Finn is here. Lucas Lundquist, I did not see you in the chat room for the radio show, but you're here now. So welcome. Thanks for being here. If you were in the other chat room, I just missed you. That's all. And Field Guy is here. Susie Q is here. Sean Stroik is here. Stroik, do you say the CH with a K sound or a Ch sound, Sean? Sean Stroich or Sean Stroik? Iowa X, good to see you. God supported Kanye. Yeah, God liked his music. God was resting at his poolside, listening to Kanye music. So he didn't really care. Josh Burns, yay, you made one. Good to have you here. This is post show, Josh. So I'm glad you're here, but it is live. And the show tonight was pre recorded a few hours ago. I do that, as most of you know, and those of you who might not know, I pre-record most of the daily shows just a few hours in advance, and I do that because I'm not set up here to go live to the YouTube stream simultaneously going live to the network for the radio show. So in audio only. And so I have to pre-record both at the same time, and I send the audio streams off to the network and then post this the show up here. And so we're going to get that down. I was going to try to get that down this week. We'll see. We'll see how quickly I can get that down so I can start. I'd like to go live every night. I just have to get all my junk in order. So and everybody think of Rocky Stucci tonight. If you want to say a prayer for Rocky, he is in the hospital. I believe he's still in the hospital. He had something happen, and I don't know what it was called. Maybe some of you know a little bit more about it than I do. And of course, he didn't call me. How dare he have something go bad and not call me and let me know what's going on? But when I had my heart attack a couple of months ago, was in the hospital, I posted about it later. But when I had the big one with the surgery, the open heart surgery and all that, a few years ago, 3 years ago now, pushing 4 years, I didn't talk to anybody for almost a week. And so I don't know what his exact condition is, but it was something that there was some anxiety that sparked something else or made something else go worse. And I don't know what it was called, but it, in a sense, if I'm getting the terminology right, I got that it kind of mimicked or was like a precursor to the possibility of having a heart attack. And so they took him in, I think, from work into the hospital. And I don't even know what hospital he's in. I don't know if he's in Hudson Hospital where he lives or if they took him into probably St. Paul, which is about a 20-minute drive in from where Rocky lives up the interstate. To Regions at St. Paul. That's where they seem to send all the heart patients. So I'll probably find out tomorrow. I'll either get a hold of Lisa. I know she's bombarded with stuff, so I'm going to give her a call, find out what's going on. I may just text Rocky on his phone and see if he picks that up at any time. So think about Rocky. Send up your prayers for Rocky, and send out good vibes for Rocky. So let's see. I'm missing some things in the chat over there. Let me ask you guys, before I go over and start looking at what's in the chat, the question that was kind of posed for me. Do you believe that God, the God that you believe in, is on either side of the election? Does he support any candidate? Why does it seem that in war and in battles that everybody believes God is on their side? In politics, God is on their side. Maybe it's because if God exists as he says he does, at least biblically, he is on everybody's side. He doesn't care who's going to rule the government. He cares what is the condition of the heart of the people, the heart of the ruler, the leader. So, yeah, Rocky lost him when he got put in Facebook for 3 days, jail for 3 days. Hey, Delaney, how you doing? Good to see you. Field guy, I've heard that before, and I've always contended with that thinking. Nothing personal against you. It's an easy thing to believe. Field guy says over here in the chat room, I don't think there's a God, because if there was, he wouldn't let the world fall into chaos. And theologically, I used to understand why God let the world fall into chaos. As I got further away from the theologies I was raised on, I started thinking, is this the God of the universe? The God of the universe would allow people to do this. Maybe this is the whole thing of tonight's show, which was talking about the sleeping God, that God takes a break. God goes on holiday. And I've talked about it before, but one of the most poignant pop cultural references I think I ever stumbled across that had anything to do with this. If any of you ever watched the show Supernatural, Doug and Dean, or Sam and Dean, and the Winchester boys. And if you remember one of the seasons, and I don't remember what season it was a few years ago, I saw this, but there was Metatron, a guy playing the angel Metatron. There was a guy playing God, Chuck, as they knew him as. And you've got to understand the mythos of the series to understand this. Maybe some of you saw that. Maybe some of you have no idea at all what I'm talking about. But if you ever saw that show, they came across God. God was a writer. He was writing his autobiography. And he knew who, of course, Sam and Dean were, and he knew everything about everybody. But he was somebody who had stepped away. And Sam and Dean were like, why aren't you protecting your world? And of course, there was more to it than just us saying, why does God let bad things happen? Why is there war? Why is there death? Why is there murder? Why is there rape? Why does God allow these things to happen? And of course, they dealt with that question in the mythos of the show. And there was the character Metatron, the angel Metatron, who was chosen by God. And he's sitting with God, and they're in this pub, kind of a tavern. Nobody else is there, and God's writing on his laptop and talking about, you can go look it up. Go look up Metatron and God from Supernatural, the little exchange they have. You can find it on YouTube. And it was interesting that Metatron said to God, God was going to let humanity be destroyed. He wasn't going to step in and do anything about it. And it was Metatron made this impassioned plea to him in the show that says, we all are waiting for you. It's like you disappeared. You just weren't there anymore. And if I can, Metatron to God speech in Supernatural. I'm going to see if this comes up in written form. And let's see if it comes up. Let's see. Sam, blah, blah, blah. Oh, this is the whole thing. So, yeah, this is the whole script, I think, for that episode. Yeah, here we go. I think it's here. Hang on with me. Bear with my silence for a couple of seconds. Now there's a song. There's the light. Here it is, I think. So Chuck and God, or Chuck and Metatron, are in the bar, and they're talking to each other. And God, Chuck, he says to Metatron, he says, you really are a good editor. Metatron, a terrific editor. And this is what Metatron did. He wrote down the words of God. And Metatron kind of chuckles. He says, well, I was a terrible writer, a worse God. It's good I've got something going for me. And God, Chuck, he says, he takes off his glasses and he stops typing. Yeah, I have to say, I didn't see the whole evil turn thing coming with you. And Metatron's like, yeah. And Chuck said, why did you try to be me? And Metatron said, that was just a sad, pathetic cry for attention. Now, again, you have to understand the show's mythos to understand what they're talking about here, but listen to where he goes with this. Chuck says, whose attention were you trying to get? Metatron said, yours. God appears to be a little bit surprised by that. And Metatron says, you are the light, your beauty, your creation. Chuck kind of leans back. Metatron says, wrath, damnation, and salvation. And he starts to cry a little bit. He says, and I don't care if I was just the angel nearest the door. And his voice breaks a little bit. He says, but you picked me. Your light shined on me. Oh, and the warmth. But then you left me. You left all of us. Chuck starts to look a little guilty. And Metatron says, it wasn't just the saps who were praying to you. The angels, we were praying to you too. And so did I, every day. And Chuck says, I know. And Metatron says, you want to sell the best-selling autobiography of all time? You explain to me, tell me why you abandoned me, us. And Chuck said, because you disappointed me. You all disappointed me. Metatron stands up and looks at Chuck with wet eyes, and he says, no, look, I know I'm a disappointment, but you're wrong about humanity. They are your greatest creation because they're better than you are. And Chuck starts to look kind of more guilty as he looks at Metatron. And Metatron says, yeah, sure, they're weak, and they cheat, and they steal, and they destroy, and they disappoint, but they also give and create, and they sing, and they dance, and they love, and above all, they never give up. But you do. Chuck looks a little devastated, and Metatron continues to look at Chuck with a tear rolling down his cheek. Chuck puts on his glasses and clears his throat and starts typing with determination. Metatron looks a little brokenhearted. And that's where it kind of leaves that scene where Chuck is saying them. Now, again, this is pop culture. This is a television show. Excuse me. But as I've always said about that show, the writers of that show had their fingers on the pulse of how people feel and think about God. They had their fingers on the pulse of the angelic and the demonic. And they wrote this stuff. And I again, not if you haven't seen that show or that episode or know the context behind it, it's a little hard to grasp it in some of the things that we're talking about. But here you have Metatron saying to God that humanity is better than you because they stay with it and they don't leave. They don't disappear, but you did. And it was very impassioned scene. So, yeah, writing is only as good as the actor. I think this actor made it very good. He's kind of a comedic actor. You've seen him in a lot of things over the years, since the 80s. You know, he was a nutty kid in like Revenge of the Nerds, I think was one of the movies where he first got his start. And he's kind of a goofy looking guy, but they chose this guy to play Metatron, the archangel Metatron, the angel that wrote down the words of God. And so it was, watch that scene, look up Metatron and God, Supernatural, and see the scene in video, and you'll get the idea. Yeah, it's worth watching, Michelle, just to see it. So now I've missed a lot of your comments here, but I think Field Guy, that's what brought that to the fore, was what you said, is that you're not sure if God is there, because if God was there, how could bad things happen? How could a beautiful, holy, omniscient, omnipresent God, all-powerful, allow bad things to happen? And this is where there are times I see myself as a practical deist, in that it's kind of like God wound up the alarm clock and set it on the shelf and went off to go fishing or do his other God stuff. God is there if we call on him, according to Scripture, that he was there to answer and that he was there. But this is where, like in today's show, where in the Psalms, it said the Jews, the Israelites, carried away captive into Babylonia, and they're praying to God, and they're saying, wake up, God, how long will you sleep and watch your children suffer? And I think this is what we deal with on a daily basis when we think God is not there. I know God knows, no pun intended, I've been there. Still am there at times. That was one of the things. I will tell you a personal story, and I don't know if I've ever told this, but when I was a younger man, and it was around it was just my post-seminary days, I think it was, that a friend of mine from college and his wife had twins, and the twins were born, I think, prematurely, and I don't remember all the details. It doesn't matter. What does matter is they were going to die. They didn't think they'd live a couple of days. And that whole church gathered at the hospital and prayed and asked God to save the life of those kids. And I remember so many times that verse being quoted during that period, that few days, where Jesus said, where one or two are gathered together, there am I in the midst of them. Speaking for God. And there you go, Michelle. Yeah, maybe I told this before then. And I remember after a couple of days, the babies died. And people were like, well, it's all in God's will. Praise God, praise Jesus. And thanks for hearing our prayers. And sometimes God's answer to our prayers is, no, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm doing this a different way. Well, then I started asking, that was really one of the first times where I looked at it and I said, prayer doesn't mean squat. Because we all, we had 150 people there. We were part of a smaller church at that time, and we had 150 people there, and 150 people praying and asking God to save these children. Didn't do a thing. And of course, sometimes you get the answers from a sing-songy elderly aunt or grandmother who will say something like, oh, God loved these children so much, he just wanted them with him in heaven. And I'm like, well, what about their parents? So these were and I had a lot of conflicting things come out of that. And I walked away from that instance, and this is in the early 1980s when this happened, mid 1980s. And I was like, I don't understand what God wants here. I don't understand where he is or why he's here, if he's even here. And so, Field Guy, I've felt that before. Lucas says, I think God is letting us cry in the crib so we can learn to comfort ourselves. Maybe so, Lucas. I have asked the question, why are there so many lessons to learn from some great deity that is so much greater than us? Why are they always trying to teach us a lesson? Build our character and build us up. Can't we do those things ourselves in life? Isn't it us who builds our character? Is it God who throws stepping stones or stumbling stones or makes us trip over that hurdle in order for us to develop our own character? God never said, I will develop your character for you, but he sure threw the obstacles in the way to make us think about how we were going to develop our own character. And I used to think it's such a foolish exercise. Life is shitty enough. Why do I need God throwing obstacles in there to develop my character when I can develop my character without him putting his hand to it at all? And that was my thinking on this. So I like what you had to say, Lucas. I don't disagree with you. I just think through these things sometimes in a different way. And pardon my cough, it just doesn't go away. I don't have cancer. I don't have any problems. I don't have COVID. I had this cough, though, for like a year. And I'll just let you know, I haven't had a cigarette since I had the other heart attack, a little over 2 months ago now. And what was it? It was September 20th. October 20th. It's almost November. Yeah, it's good. Well, it's been over 8 weeks. It's been like 9 weeks since I had that heart attack, and I was in the hospital for a couple of days. And I just stopped smoking when I was done. Everybody was nagging me about smoking this, smoking that. Don't smoke. And I'm like, okay, I got it. I ain't smart enough for that. Everybody had to lecture me about it. And it's like, you don't need to lecture me. I've already decided I'll just be done. And I was in the hospital for 2.5 days, and I didn't have a single cigarette, of course. And I went back home and I said, I'm just done. I just stopped smoking. No, I don't need a patch on my arm. No, I don't need I don't need, build up and all this. I figure if I'm not bright enough or strong enough to decide to stop smoking on my own, I don't need anybody's help to do that. It's me who picks it up. It's me who can put it down. And I did. So I've had, if I add them up, I've had a couple of cigarettes over the last couple of months. But usually I'll pick one up and I'll light one with our neighbors who come over. So I lit one and I smoked about a third of it and I crushed it out and threw it out. Just didn't want to smoke it anymore. Didn't taste good. Every now and then I get a hankering. And I think I mentioned this before because I think, Michelle, it might have been you who said something. I say, when I watch a show like Mad Men and everybody's smoking in the office, I feel like picking one up and smoking one. And I don't crave it. Every now and then I go, I wouldn't mind having a smoke. But then I say to myself, but I know if I have one, I'll have another one. So I'm just not going to do it. It's not my thing anymore. And so, yeah, all when you're ready. That's right, Sean. So where I was doing roughly 4 or 5, 6 cigarettes a day, I used to do a pack and a half a day before my first heart attack. But one thing I found is that my heart attacks really didn't have much to do with my smoking. It had more to do with my diabetes. My diabetes closing up blood vessels and things like that. Smoking didn't help it. Let's put it that way. So I stopped smoking. And, it's not even a one day at a time thing. I don't like to look at it and go, look at great me, pat me on the back, or, wow, I'm not a smoker anymore and you shouldn't be either. I'm not a smoke Nazi because I stopped smoking. I told my doc, I said, I'll probably pick one up one now and again, but I've already made up my mind. And I got to tell you, when you're 9 weeks into changing a habit, it's changed. So this morning I thought, I had a quiet morning here. And I was working away. Kids were at school. Rainey had to go do a massage. And there was one, it's snowing outside. And I thought, might be kind of nice to step out on the patio and have a smoke. And I just got busy with other stuff and I forgot I was going to do that. And so by the end of the day, I went, I never had a smoke today. I still have a full pack of smokes that I've smoked 2 out of since I opened it the day before my heart attack. So the night before my heart attack. So there it is. Enough talk about smoking. All I want to say is if I don't have the willpower, that's not even the word I'm looking for. If I don't have the nads to make a decision to not smoke and not do it, I'm pretty sorry. I have a pretty sorry state of self-awareness, pretty sorry state of ability to carry through on a commitment I've made. So I just walked away from it. So if you're smoking and you want to quit, you don't need anybody else to help you. You don't need a patch. You don't need nothing. You don't need nicotine gum. You need your brain. You need your brain to say, I'm done. And you move away from it. That simple. There you go, Matt Finn. Yeah, you can do it. Tenacity. Maybe so. All of this was really coming off of Field Guy and what he had to say about God. And Field Guy, not disagreeing with you for any sake or for mockery's sake or anything like that. I only disagree in the sense that, well, first of all, I agree. It feels like God isn't there. But I had to start coming to terms with who I thought God was and what kind of deity was he. Do you remember a couple of weeks ago when we talked on the radio show about how God looked at the timeline from ancient times moving up and forward, how God started as the God of this, the God of the mountain, the God of the sky, of the stars, the God of the stuff around us. Then he became, and that was an impersonal God. He was the God of creation of things. And then there was the God, and gradually over the millennia leading up to the time of Christ, God became more and more personal. Eventually a personal God, a God that who we could metaphorically go to and crawl into his lap and ask for his help. That God opens his arms to invite us to lay our woes and our cares on him. Now, this is all great emotional stuff. What I had faced in my life was the fact that it didn't seem God was there for that purpose. Maybe this is what Jesus was supposed to be, what the Messiah was supposed to be, that personal God that changed everything. So, and I could say I'm still figuring out, but there's nothing more to figure out. All the information's there. It's whether or not I'm going to choose to believe it or not, or appropriate that faith. And I once had it, but if you can lose that faith, did you ever really have it? Or are you going through bumps in the road, the dark nights of the soul, the things like that? Don't know. So who is God? What does God want of us? What does he expect of us? Is God even there to have expectation of us? That's the big thing. And I would think that if there is no God, there is no spiritual governance from some kind of deity, we're pretty adrift. And nothing really does matter other than what we as humans, the structures that we make and put together. And we work through them and strive through them all our lives, and then we die and we're done. There's nothing else. If there's no spirituality, if there's no God, if there's no deity in control of anything. That's kind of the way I view that. I'm open to be corrected, but not admonished. I'm open to have a good conversation. Love to have a good talk with Jesus. Is Jesus God? That's the question of faith. Is God God? Siani says she social smokes if I'm with people that do. I also like to smoke when I'm drinking. Don't do it much anymore because none of my friends do. Well, yeah, and that's another thing too. Here's the thing. You know, when I was a younger man, used to go out all the time. Rainey and I went out a few times. We didn't go out much after we got together and started having kids. We haven't been out a whole lot. Really? I mean, we go out to eat a lot. Rainey and I don't usually have a chance to dress up and go out somewhere, have a good time, go to the pub and hang out. The other night, if you remember on my Facebook, if you're on my Facebook, I mentioned something about, I may have mentioned it on the show on Sunday morning. Oh wait, was it on the weekend? But that Rainey did a massage with her massage partner, Kendra, at the Stillwater Inn in Stillwater, Minnesota, right across the bridge, about 15 minutes from here. And I dropped her off that day, and so I had to go pick her up. I got a sitter for the kids, and I went in and went to the little pub. They had an Irish pub at the hotel, and a band was playing that were old friends of mine, an Irish band. And so Rainey and I had a couple of drinks, and it was great. And then the band took a break, and I went and had a smoke. That was one of the smokes I had in the last 2 months, was I went out and had a smoke with them. And so I'm like you, Siani. In social settings, I could do it more. When I drink, yeah, if I have a couple of pints, I had a couple of pints of Smithwicks. Yes, I did mention that. Because somebody commented in the chat room They didn't think much of Smithwicks. But I had a couple of Smithwicks, and I went and had a cigarette with my friend. And I told Rennie, I'm going to go have a smoke with my friend. She said, go ahead. Because she knew I wasn't struggling with it. And I wasn't doing it anymore. And sure, go ahead. Have one. So, Siani hoards shiny things. Field guy has never smoked anything ever. Okay. So, anyway, going back and looking at everybody's comments, it might not be the easiest thing to do, but if I go through here and, maybe there's more to say when we were talking about God, talking about Metatron and Chuck. Metatron, Autobot or Deception. That's good. Mechanics. Love that. So, I didn't see that when you said it earlier, if you're still here. Let's see, what else do you have to say, everybody? As I go back through, Roger says, painful, says Michelle, yet beautiful life. I think the same way as Motherella, said Siani. And Siani Reese, and thank you, by the way, Michelle, orator extraordinaire. Thank you, if you're referring to me. Michelle, I'm sorry, Siani says, the acting. Yes, it's the acting. Yeah. We have to try to keep our humanity, says Susie, our goodness through all the darkness. We must choose to forgive the worst, and that's going to be the hard one. Righteousness, righteous revenge on an enemy. Yeah, that is. The hard part is until you do it, There's people I could have hated deeply and despised deeply. And yet I turned it around for myself. I said, I'm not going to hate this person. And I don't use this phrase a lot about the offering favor to someone. But there was somebody who had, when we lost our house, the bigger house we had that was sitting in the 4-acre woods with the ponds out in the country, and we lost that house in 2.5 years ago. And we lost it through a technicality because we had a very loosely put together contract for deed with the guy that was selling it. And then we found out he'd done this to other people before, but he ended up calling a breach of contract on us because the bridge, the big new bridge going from Wisconsin over to Minnesota had been finished. And the word was, when that bridge goes up, it's going to raise all the property values here. Well, he was starting to push as that bridge was getting done. And I wasn't seeing it right away. I just thought, boy, he's sure being picky about stuff these days. And so there was the day after the bridge opened, we had guys knocking on our door out in the woods there and saying, there's a 4-acre plot to the left of your house. That's my plot. If you want that, I'm selling it. And but he wanted way too much money because the bridge was now in. And so anyway, I think that's why we were moved out of that house. And I thought the guy was an ass for doing what he did. And I've told that story before, but just in short, we were late that month and I had been in the hospital for 5 days for my hip surgery. And I looked at my phone and I was still drugged up. We're driving away from the hospital. I said, oh my God, rent is due today, or a mortgage payment is due today. And I said, I'm just going to text him. And it was already 4:30 in the afternoon. And I texted him and I said, hey, I'm going to throw that mortgage payment in your bank tonight. Sorry, I've been in the hospital for 5 days. And at 3 a.m, I got a message back that said he was holding us in breach of contract and blah, blah, blah. And the way the laws are written in Wisconsin and all that. And the loosey-goosey portions of our contract. So we lost that house. I was not happy with him at all, to say the least. We had sunk a lot into that place. And we ended up here in this townhome as a result of that. We're going to save up our money and move somewhere else. But I remember there was a day I said, I need to extend favor to him. From God, from me, from the universe. I need to not hate him. And I just detest what he did, but I still needed, and this all was a segue off of what you said, Susie Q, about forgiveness. So there you go. It's tough to do sometimes. I was hearing a piece of equipment do something weird. Oh, this is because it's sitting here because I'm redoing my wall back there. This was my Enterprise from there. It's got a little. Do that again. See? Woo! I've got another one that's got 3 buttons on it. It's a little bigger than this one. And it has more sounds, the warp sounds and all of that. But this is the one I had hanging up on the. There you go. Enterprise. Sitting right here. That's all that is. My toys. So, anyway. Sean, you're right. He was. And I don't like him very much. Now, what I found out he did from the neighbors, he had done this to other people in that house. Written contract for deeds. They lived there for a year, and he'd close them out, find a way to close them out of their contract for deeds. And so it was a problem for me. And we lost that house. We wanted to stay there. It was a gorgeous place. And big house. I had my big studio. The French doors downstairs, it would open into what would be, the equivalent of like 2 medium-sized bedrooms in a house. It was like 12 feet across, and it was about 20 feet long. All wood floors, the new wood floors, because it was a newer house. And a sliding glass door out to the woods. My window next to my desk, on the other side of the room from my desk, all opened out into the woods, and you could see the big pond down below. We had a deck out back there, and it's a gorgeous place. And so you can bet I was not happy with him. So anyway, did we hit any of that stuff I said we were going to hit tonight? It's now 10:44. It's 45 minutes since we went off air with the show tonight. And USS Bong Delaney. I smoked weed from a bong that was shaped like the Enterprise. Nice. All right. So you know what I think I'm going to do? Unless anybody has any objections. Yeah, I could talk forever too. Trust me. That's why I do what I do. We'll maybe go until 11 my time. 12 Eastern. So we got a few minutes left. And if anybody's got anything you want to talk about, any questions you want to ask me, as I've announced a couple of times, I'm going to start that membership here on my page. I just haven't implemented it yet. I've got it all there. It's all there in the background. I just haven't launched it yet. And what it's going to do, I'll let you in on this just a little more, one more time. All the shows are going to be free. My Intrepid radio program, my Sunday morning program, those are all, nothing's going to change with that. But I'm going to have $1.99 a month membership, and I think a $4.99 a month, and maybe even a higher one, like a $12.99 a month or something. Sounds like a lot of money when you think about it, until you go, what's $12 a month? I spend $12 sneezing, it seems. And so I'm going to set up these levels, and these levels will have different premiums to them. One level might get you just honorable mention. $1.99 a month. Thanks. These are the people that are helping me keep this show alive. Then there will be those at the next level up that you're going to get a free show like this, maybe once a week. It's going to be something that is specially geared to those members, and nobody else is going to be able to see it unless you're a member. And then there's going to be possibly a third where you'll get, very possibly, I'm looking at launching something smaller version, but akin to Intrepid magazine, only keeping it digital. And then you'll also get the other things as well. So I'm looking into that. We'll see how we can do that. And so we'll get that going. Sean is still waiting for me to do the crane while your Rainy is clipping your toenails. That's what we're all waiting for. Yeah. Rainy said to me once, somebody said, well, why don't you have your wife clip your toenails? I said, and she's like, yeah, you could ask. And I'm like, I didn't ask because I didn't want to put that on you. I didn't think that was something I should ask my wife to do. Hey, you want to clip my nappy toenails that have been in my socks all day? And she said, no. She said, but I will have you soak them in the hot little mini jacuzzi bubbly foot tub with some soapy water. And she had chemicals, like Aveda stuff, that smells all amazing, bibble, bubble, toil, and trouble with Aveda. And so soak them in there for about a half an hour. And then she would go in and she'd clip my toenails. She'd clean my toenails. I mean, the stuff you do with your fingernails, you got the little file thing and you clean out your fingernail, you clip them and you file them. She did all that to my toes. And I just have nappy feet. I don't like my feet. I don't like my toenails. And so she does that for me every now and then. She'll do it whenever I ask, which is pretty cool. I try to rub her feet anytime she asks if she feels. Sometimes she's just sitting there. She's barefoot. She's curled up on the sofa watching a show, and I'll grab a foot and I'll start rubbing it. And she's like, oh, my God. And that's better than orgasms sometimes. Sad to say. So, yeah, the crane. I don't know if I can do the crane, but I do that thing where what I was talking about is I would get down on, and I can't show you from my camera. I'm going to get this studio set up a little better. I'll have a second camera up there and we can do different angles. But I'd get down on one knee and I'd stretch the other leg all the way back. And I'd just bring my knees so my knee is no further extended out than the end of my foot. So I was out and I was down on my knee like that. It's like stretching. And I'd put my arms out for balance. I don't need to do that now because I do that enough. And I would have to do that. And then I would stretch down over the top of my knee and touch my hands flat to the floor. And then I'd work and I'd make sure I could put my hands under my feet and run them along under my feet. And I could reach all the way around my foot. And I did that to loosen everything up so I could reach my feet. Here, let me adjust that camera. And so, yeah, if that's what you're talking about, Sean, yeah, that's what I had to do to put socks on. Now, this thing I've got, I'll show you what it is. Hold on. I got a closet here. Let me get in here. That's my closet. This is my clothes. But I got this thing up here. So, this is not my bedroom. I don't have a closet in the bedroom. But this is the thing that I use. This is what I was talking about. I had to buy myself one of these babies so I could put my socks on. And that goes like this. Let me get my mic out of the way. Make sure you can still hear me. And here, I'm going to grab a sock. If you've never seen how these things work, okay, let's say that's your sock. And you can't get that on. So what you got to do, let's see if we can line that up. You had to put the sock in here and over the top of the wire frame like that. See? So then your sock's on there like that. And you'd have to work it down. I worked it down so when I'd put my foot in here, my toe is just going into the toe of the sock. And you see the rounded part of this back here. That's the back of your leg. And then you'd step into the sock. It was really simple. Say, this is my foot. If you've never seen how this works, you put it on and you step in and you pull it off. And there your sock's on. That's how that works. So that's what I was referring to, by the way. Not to give you a lesson in how that works. It's like right now. I'm barefoot. Well, I got a pair of shoes on. I don't like walking through my house or in the kitchen with my kids living here. My little kids, they're monsters. The things that get on your feet and get stuck in your feet. Like, you never knew, a piece of Fruity Pebbles could hurt that bad in your bare feet. But my kids do that. So, or Legos. There you go, Sean. And so I wear my shoes. I put them on, and I got to tell you, I got a pair of these. I wear these and a sister pair to these. I got these. Seen these advertised on like Facebook and Instagram and places like that. And I'm always dubious of that kind of stuff. But I went ahead and I popped for a pair of these. And they're a moccasin and they fold all up, they're nice. They're kind of like that. And, but I got 2 pairs of these. And I got this one and the pair I'm wearing, a little more moccasin toed. And I wear these all the time now, unless if I'm going to wear a suit and tie, I've got dress shoes and junk and I got boots. But I wear these things and I wear these around the house. And I used to go barefoot all the time. When I met Rainey, I was always barefoot. Always had my pant legs rolled up, with cuffs hanging, a few inches up above my ankle, and walk around like that all the time until winter. But then, so I got to wear compression socks since the heart surgery because, as I mentioned, and here's a medical icky thing, after you have that kind of work done, your chest you can build. I don't know all the technical terms. You build up liquid, moisture, water, and my legs would swell up. There was a point this winter where I looked down at this last spring. I looked down and I couldn't even make out my ankles. It was just like a big shank of elephant shank. And I thought, what the hell is it? It was actually Rainey was the first. I was wearing a pair of shorts and she goes, "Oh my God, what happened to your legs?" And it was just, and that's where, remember when I said I got all the way up to 290 pounds a few months ago? I'm 255 pounds right now, but I dropped 30 pounds. Just once I got the water thing figured out. And I ordered these and I started wearing these because they were comfortable in my feet, and compression socks under my jeans or my pants. And they go all the way up to my knee. And I found my legs got back to their skinny self, shapely. I have shapely legs. I have ankles. So all that for crap talk about health. But there you go. That's all. I have to wear compression socks. I don't wear them all the time. Sometimes I want to wear shorts and I want to go barefoot and walk around. Like I say, I'm in a pair of shorts now. It's just as a pair of old black sweats that I've cut off at the knee. And I'm wearing my my moccasins. How's that for riveting live stream radio? Not really radio, it's live streaming. So, and I'll just show you here. Hold on. This is the pair that I have now. When I'm not wearing the other pair, I've got these. So this is what I just had on. This is my other pair. So I bought 2 pairs of these things. This is my dress pair. This is my moccasin pair. But I mostly wear these around the house and when I run the kids to school. And, these are nice. So if you see those ads over on Instagram or so on, they're real. It works. There they are. So good shoes. Great stuff. I love them. And how's that for an ad campaign for their shoes? So there you go. Just talking live. Got a couple of minutes left and it'll be 11 o'clock here. The names of the shoes. I think there are different companies that sell them, so that part's a little confusing. Trying to see if there is a name on these. See, it's got a sport logo on it, but it's not really a real logo. I'll look that up for you, and I'll let you know what they are, Susie Q. Because I don't off the top of my head. I have to go look at the invoice, which is on my computer. Same with these. These are really nice. I got a lot of compliments. I got some military guys complimented me on these. These are great. But yeah, again, there's no real logo on these. Sport. It says there's a sport logo. Whatever that means. Oh, here you go. Now it just says sport and fashion. Who cares? Okay, here you go. This is Menico. That mean anything to anybody? Menico or Menco. It's not just men's shoes. They have women's shoes too. And I think they bill these as men's and women's. So little slightly different build on the women's shoes. So there you go. That's all. I'll get the name for you. I'll find out where you can order them. Pretty good stuff. As a matter of fact, on that first pair of shoes, that all hit during, it was spring. I ordered those in like March. And by June or July, I hadn't seen them. And I thought it's all COVID related. And they actually sent me, I think those were coming from China or someplace overseas. And they actually wrote me and said, "We're so sorry that your shoes," and I didn't write them. They said, "Your shoe, it never met the back order. And so we've refunded your money." They refunded my money. I think I paid about $45 to $48 a piece for these shoes, plus tax. And then about 3 days later, the shoes arrived. And I wrote them and I said, "I got you." And they said, "Keep them for the time that it took to get to you." And so I said, "Well, I'm just going to order another pair." And that's when I ordered the more yellowy pair for around the house. So there you go. You don't want to get up and look, said Siani. That's all right. So Rock and Rhonda, love toes and socks. Love toes socks. Let's see. Michelle is our boot maiden. Oh, I got boots too. Believe you me. I like, if you know boots, I had horses at one time and I used to wear Ariat boots or Ariat. And they were more a show, and show is not the word because they were a work boot, but they looked showier. They were a nicer looking boot, and I would wear those all the time. I got in the habit of wearing Ariats all the time. So, and they were lace up work boots, but they were built a little finer. They even had the little fringe, like on some slip-on dress shoes. They got the little fringe around the front, around the top. And I took that off, but good-looking shoes. They work. So, anyway, Matt's shocked about something. Well, not shocked about something. Thanks, Sean. Every now and then we go live, and as you can see, as we're winding down, there's not much more to talk about. Some of the things I will do when we start doing the live membership shows, I'm going to do some of the things, some of the art I do, some of the projects I'm working, and bring you on the inside of some things, maybe on the inside of the books as I write them. Had a good talk with my agent today, by the way, who I do other work for. I do book cover designs for their company. And I do all of that kind of stuff for them. And I'm working on the 10 Breaths of Ra. And she is really happy that I'm going to try to wrap that up in the next few weeks for her. And she said, well, the whole publishing industry has been down because of COVID. She said, so we're not going to look into it until January, February anyway. But if this is sold in January, February to a publisher, could be out before the end of summer or by the fall of next year, maybe even sooner. We'll have to see. So I'll let you know on that. So Tony Lamas are good boots, Matt. Yeah, I got one pair of Tony Lamas, I will admit. And haven't worn them in a long time. So, all right. And Siani Reese, you like Egyptian anything? Yeah, lots of Egyptian stuff around this house, I got to tell you. And from that piece, and Siani, I don't know if you've heard this. Everybody else knows this. My friend John Ward made that for me in Egypt. That is Senenmut and the Young Princess Nefruri. And it's taken from, this is just a mini version of really that same thing done in onyx. And him with the princess. And it made more noise than I thought it would. It's heavy. And this was done. John went out to just a few miles from his house in Luxor. You go by the Valley of the Kings. If you go out around, it's old John Carter who discovered King Tut's tomb. He has a beautiful old house there. And it's now a museum, but you go up behind his place. If you go in front of his house, you turn there, you go up around the road, you're in the Valley of the Kings. If you were to walk to the Valley of Kings, it'd probably take you 15 minutes from his house, 2 minutes by car. But then you can go around back the other road around his house and way out into the back there, and you find the quarries of Hatshepsut. Hatshepsut, the queen, you've heard me mention her many times, the queen pharaoh, who raised Senenmut to power. Well, this stone that these people had this made this out of, here, I'm going to grab it. Oh, yeah. All right. That guy's heavy. Now, he's a little washed out. I don't like that. That's heavy. Here we go. All right. I guess you can't see detail. It's too bright. But trying to block some of the light on him. But you can see the features. This was all carved. John went out to the quarry of Hatshepsut. And I wonder if his mark is on this. The artist. Nope. All right, hang on. Let me put him back. I would say that thing's about 22 pounds, 25 pounds, something like that. And it's still dusty. But John went out to the quarries of Hatshepsut, which are still there. You can still see the quarries where she had stone quarried for her building projects. There's still markings. There's still hieroglyphs all over the walls. And John found a stone, roughly that size, and brought it to the local artisan in Luxor, local Egyptian man, and he carved that for John, for me. And John presented it to me. So that was when we were doing the symposiums, the Paradigm Symposium, and John carried that in a sack onto the plane flying here from Egypt and carried it all the way here and then presented it to me at the opening of the Paradigm Symposium in 2013. So there you go. All my Egyptian backlogs. All right. You're obsessed. That's a good obsession, by the way. So, yeah, I'll have my Star Trek things all up. As a matter of fact, I had my phaser was sitting right here on the sideboard. That's one of them. I've got 5 of these. And, I was putting them up. I was trying to figure out how to do it here. I like this angle, or this side. This side, it's got a little tape on there, but doesn't have the detailing. That would be the proper way to put them here. And I was thinking about how to stack these in here. I'll get it figured out. But there's one of my phasers. I have the batteries out of it right now, so it's not making any noise. But this one, the hand phaser pops out. You can see. And let's see, there it is. And so that goes in there. They use it that way on the show at times. So blah, blah, blah. It's my thing. It's my toys. So I got those. I'll put those up. I got the communicators, the whole. And so there it is. So we got that. And, I got the toys. And it all works. So I have to get more modern props. These props are about 30 years old. So back when they first started coming out with them. And I got a bunch of that stuff. And I'll get that stuff up. So There we go. You own that communicator, Rhonda? Maybe we can call each other. Let's see. This is an older one. All right. Rhonda, beam me up. So, and this is old enough that it's having a couple of electronic problems. So, but I want to get one of the newer props of this. So there you go. Still have to get a tricorder. I had one and I just disappeared over the years. I don't know whatever happened to it. So I'll get some better props. And for those of you who haven't heard, one of these days I'll regale you with the story of touring the sets of the Enterprise for the Next Generation series. It was already 1994 when I toured the sets. We were in business in LA and we were wearing suits and ties. And our friend Dan Madsen got me in to visit the Star Trek sets. I'll tell you all about that again. So that was good times. But not tonight. That'll be time for bed, kids. That'll be another night. I'll tell you that story. All right. So thanks for joining me for the show tonight. And thanks for joining me for this little afterword. And we'll do this. We'll try to do this every now and again. And this thing that you're seeing right now, however, this might become something that is part of becoming a special member. It might cost you a little bit per month. But I'm trying to keep that low enough that people that if they want to do it, it's no big shakes. It's like a cup of coffee and at Starbucks. And so, and you can enjoy this kind of stuff. So I'll let you know when we start getting there. And then we'll be doing this on a more regular basis. And so that's all I got. Guys, thanks for being here. I will see you tomorrow night for the radio show. And you guys have a good night. And you have a good day tomorrow. And we'll talk again. So where's my end stream button? It's right there. All right. So any last messages I need to look at? Sounds great. Thanks, says Sean. Susie Q says, I don't go out for coffee, sir. Well, you'll have to spend that money here then. This will be your coffee. Michelle says, love you, Captain. I love you too, Michelle. You know it. And Siani says, thanks for the conversation. Thank you for being part of it. And yes, you know what? Live long and prosper, everyone. You have a good night, and I'll see you later. Bye.